Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you all for being here. My name is John Olguin. As most of you know, I'm the head of communications at Earnhardt Ganassi Racing with Felix Sabates. And we're real excited today to be here to introduce the 2014 driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet. We think it's a great day for not only our team, but for our 24-year partner with Target, and also for the sport. This driver, he currently sits 8th in the NASCAR Nationwide Series standings with 13 top 10s and 6 top 5s and 23 starts. He's also started twice in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, where he won at Rockingham and finished 2nd at Eldora. He is a 2-time Speed Performer nominee both in 2011 and 2012. He is the 2012 NASCAR K&N Series champion and Rookie of the Year. And he's a graduate of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program and their next program as well. So we're real pleased to announce the 2014 driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet is Kyle Larson. And obviously we have here with us Chip Ganassi and Kyle, and so let me start with you, Chip. Give me your thoughts on this announcement.
Thanks, John. And I have some prepared comments here, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly we think, we believe that Kyle's the future of the sport. He's a unique talent. And let me be very clear, this was a racing decision. We felt that Kyle was the best short-term and long-term fit for the team and for Target. While our team's been partnered with Target for 24 years, when we decided to make the change, we wanted to make sure we found them the right driver, someone that would represent their brand, as well as have a chance to win races and in for the long term. Kyle was our first choice. We did not offer any deals to any other drivers. We talked to other drivers. We're thrilled to have Kyle, and nothing he has done makes us feel he cannot handle the move to the Nextel Cup Series. the Sprint Cup Series. As I said, we spoke to a number of current Cup drivers. At the end of the day, we felt we had the best. We felt that Kyle was the best option for our organization. We do feel that we need to continue Kyle Larson's growth, and putting him in a Cup car was the very next step. And sure, there's going to be growing pains, but we think he's ready, and some of those growing pains will come whatever in his first year in the series is. So I think it's a good opportunity, and my expectations and advice to him will be to keep the car on the track and run laps. But as many of you know already, ladies and gentlemen, this kid's a special kid, and we couldn't be more proud to have him here today and announcing him as our driver for next year and
Thank
beyond.
you, Chip.
Thank you.
Kyle, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Excited to be a part of the Target brand. Everybody knows the Target logo when they see it. So it's a pretty iconic car, and I think I can do okay. And like you said, there's gonna be some growing pains, I'm sure, but I think I'll learn a lot, and I'll grow as a driver and mature as a person.
Okay, let's open it up to some questions. We'll start right here in the middle.
Woody Kane with Motor Racing Network. Kyle, just curious how much of a whirlwind these last few years feel like to you, and if moving up to the Sprint Cup Series will cause you to focus more on that and less on all the other racing that you've been doing over the last few years.
Yeah, it's definitely been quite a whirlwind. I was just walking over here telling Loretta that a year ago today I was making my second truck start. So it's been a really quick road, but I feel like I've done okay with it and learned quite a bit. And as far as next year goes, I know I'll have to focus more on the Sprint Cup stuff. I understand it's probably going to be the toughest step in my whole career, so I'm going to have to dedicate a lot of time to it and grow as a driver and do a great job for Target, do a great job for Earnhardt Ganassi Racing, and make everybody there happy.
Ed?
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com, sort of to your right over here.
Where are you, Eddie? Oh, there you are.
Yeah. Obviously, the past several seasons, you've tried to double and redouble your efforts to try to get back where you wanted your team to be. Can there be a difference here when you've got a young, fresh driver that everybody's enthusiastic about? Does that help you throughout your team, everybody in your shop and everything? Do you have hope to believe that you can come yet again with a fresh new effort and be stronger
I think
because of him?
That's a good question, Ed. And I think we've made some steps. Since the inception of our team, we've certainly made some steps. Some were solid steps, and looking back, some were not so solid. And I think, but it's a building process. I think our team. I think we made a big step this past year. Our cars are a lot better. They seem to run at the front a lot more. And we led some races. We've been running at the front a lot. I think having the right driver certainly doesn't hurt. And but I mean, are we? Are we there yet? Do I think I'm there yet? You're never there. You're never there until we can win on a consistent basis and win championships consistently. We're not there.
Bottom line, as a follow-up, are you counting on winning some races with Kyle next year?
Am I counting on winning races next year?
Yes.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think Kyle's the kind of driver that, when he sees opportunity in front of him, he takes it. If that means it's a win, hey, great. But I don't. There's no pressure for him to win his first year out. I don't think there's any pressure like that. But I mean, the kid's done very well, and every step he's made in his career so far, I see no reason why this should be any different.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Chip, Kyle's been compared to Jeff Gordon, to Tony Stewart. First of all, what kind of a game changer can that be for the organization, signing him and at such a young age and have you? And do you anticipate you'll get him in any Sprint Cup cars this year as far as running a race or two before the 2014 season? Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate those comments. Those guys they all said nice things about Kyle. And, in terms of comparing them to drivers, I mean, that's something for you guys to do in the media. I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and compare him to anybody. I think, obviously when those guys came into the sport, guys like Jeff and Tony and Jimmy, they were certainly game changers. So you look back on it now, I think to say that we're sitting here today with a game changer, I think that's a little rambunctious. I mean, let's. We got to see what the guy does. Maybe when he's been in it as long as those guys have, we'll be able to look back and do that. But I wouldn't go as far to do that today. In terms of Cup races this year, right now the plan is to try to do that. I don't foresee that happening. It's never been my MO to push anybody out of any cars that are on our team. As you know, Juan's been a great asset to our team for many years, and I'm not going to push him out or do anything like that. So. But I would think there's opportunities to get him in Cup races this year, and we're going to take advantage of those opportunities.
Back there, and then Claire.
Chip, Paul Newberry from Associated Press. You talk about...
Raise your hand, Paul. There you are. Okay.
Oh, right here, yes. Calling him a special talent. What makes, in your mind, Kyle a special talent?
Well, you hear those words a lot, and we that gets thrown around a lot, and believe me, I've seen my share of young guys come along in motorsports, and I would say that my first indication was at Daytona this year. I remember watching him in the race, and I'm hearing the whole time how special this kid is, how special he is, and he was kind of running around the nationwide race about 14th or 12th or something, and I thought, what the hell's so special about this kid, And but sure enough, at the finish line, he was right there. And of course, he was here and there at the finish line, I should say, at Daytona this year. But, be that as it may, that to me was special. And I've seen that, 5 or 6, 8 times now where he's, he gives you the impression he's dilly-dallying about in the middle of the pack, kind of not paying attention. But always at the end, he seems to be where it matters to be. So I think that says something to me.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I have a quick question for both of you. Kyle, you handle yourself in many situations very calmly, like ice water through your veins. But people were looking at you as a young guy, look what he can do. Now as you move into the Cup Series, it'll be, did he move too fast? All of the attention on you. How do you handle that? And is that going to be the toughest thing for you? The racing part, not so much, but all that attention?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I'll pay attention a little bit to it, but as long as I'm out there, living up to my expectations and Chip's expectations, it's all that really matters. And like you said, I'm not one to pay attention to all the hype or the pressure that other people put on me. I just try and go out and do the best I can, and I don't see myself doing any different next year. I'm not gonna push it harder than I think I can push it. I'm just gonna try and do the best I can, and if that's winning races or contending for wins every week, that's great. If I'm running top 15, I'm happy with that too. So it's gonna be a fun year next year. I think I'll learn a ton, and I'll enjoy it quite a bit.
And Chip, knowing that this is an incredible talent, how do you groom him, bringing him up to this series, and people questioning whether it's too fast or not? Well, he's in the series now. What do you do to make it easier on him as he comes into the series? You've been around racing for so long.
Well, I think a big part of it was certainly his nationwide experience this year, and in fact, we're planning on nationwide next year as well. Being in both series, I think he's with a great team with Turner Scott. The Turner Scott Motorsports. Those guys have done a great job, and I think it's kind of a plus that he's with a bona fide nationwide team. It's not a cup team there doing a nationwide car. It's a bona fide nationwide team, and so I think a lot of people think that his learning curve is a little steeper doing it that way, but that'll pay dividends down the road. So I think that's pretty important. That answer your question?
Can you coach him?
I've never considered myself a great coach or anything. I'm sure they're out there. I mean, we just want to win races, and we want to be at the front. This is not a complex thing we're talking about up here. It's racing cars, and we have a young talent here that deserves a shot, and we're giving him his shot.
Go ahead. David?
David Caravella, NASCAR.com. Kyle, I don't know if you've heard the debate the last couple of weeks about how ready you may be for this step and that sort of thing. I mean, does it bother you? Does it motivate you? I mean, when you hear those kind of conversations, how do you react to it?
It doesn't bother me at all. I'd like to prove the people that don't think I'm ready for it wrong, and let the guys that think I am ready, let them pump their chest out a little bit. But like I said, as long as I'm running top 15, I'm happy with that. I don't know if the fans and media people think that's good enough, but if I think that's about where I'll set my goals for next year. But like I said, I've never let the pressure get to me of running well or doing whatever. Just always, kind of sat back and raced and tried to do the best I could. And I think that's paid off for me in all the years I've been racing. Because I was always young, starting off racing sprint cars. I was the youngest to start off racing in California at 14 years old, and did pretty well and proved a lot of people wrong. So I'm hoping I can do the same next year in the Cup Series and go from there.
So this situation is nothing new to you?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Wolfgang?
Benchmark Press Agency. Two questions for you, Chip. Number one, when it was clear that you and Pablo Montoya was leaving your sprint car team, the rumor currently in Europe is that you will bring him up back to open wheel racing. Can you give any comment on that? And question number two, to how many percentage was Target, your sponsor, involved in signing Kyle? Or was it your own decision to sign him?
Yeah, it was certainly our own decision. It was a racing decision. I mean, Target's our sponsor. They've been our sponsor for a long time, but it's a team decision, and they left it entirely up to the team. In terms of Juan, bring him back to open wheel racing or whatever. I mean, I think it's at this time. Let me say this: Juan's been a great asset to our team for many years. We've enjoyed a lot of success with him, and he's not only a driver of our team, he's a great friend of mine, and I think I think that there are always opportunities in our team that seem to present themselves, and you never know from time to time when those come along. But with all the different cars we have, it does make for some great opportunities at different times, and I'm certainly not counting him out of any opportunities or potential opportunities coming along.
Jim?
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. For Kyle, as you've already seen in this press conference, there's a lot of people who have sometime or another questioned whether or not you are ready. But my question is, for a young guy who's starting out in racing, whose goal is obviously to race in the best series and biggest series that there are. Is there ever a time you're not ready?
I don't know. I feel like I've learned quite a bit this year in the Nationwide Series and the K&N Series, all the stock car stuff, even the sprint car stuff I run helps when I come out over here and race the stock cars. So I guess there's a point when somebody's not ready, but I feel like I am ready. I feel like I can go out there and contend. I raced with some Cup guys in the Nationwide Series this year and learned a lot from them. Raced them hard. Beat some of them. So I think I can do it. I think Chip obviously thinks I can do it. So that's all that really matters to me.
Okay, Chase Wilhelm, PRN. Ryan Newman said earlier today that when an owner comes up to a young driver like yourself, this one's for Kyle, by the way, sorry. When an owner comes up to a young driver like yourself and offers them a deal like this, it's up to the driver to have the maturity and the responsibility to say if he's ready or not. Was there any doubt in your mind that you could do this?
No, like I said, I think I can do it. And these opportunities don't come about very often. You never know when you have another shot like this, so you got to capitalize on it and do the best you can. So there's been people that are a lot younger than me that got their start in Cup. So I think I'll do okay, like I said, and I'll be all right.
Reed?
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire Service. Kyle, a number of people have said, including Jimmy Johnson and a couple of other drivers, that the Cup car may actually suit your style better given your background with the higher horsepower and the greater weight. Just wondered what your thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I believe so. The Nationwide stuff is, I don't know, it's about 200 horsepower less than a Cup car. And, with my sprint car background, they're 1,400-pound cars with 900 horsepower engines. So I'm used to having, way too much horsepower. So I think it'll translate well to the Cup cars. I've gotten to test earlier this year at Rockingham in it, and I felt like I did pretty well in it, and enjoyed it. I felt like it suited me a little bit better. We had to finesse the car a little bit more. It wasn't so much momentum driven. So I think that's where I struggle a little bit in the Nationwide stuff. Is I probably don't understand momentum quite as good as a Kyle Busch or somebody. But so that's why I think the Cup stuff will be a little bit better for me. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. For Chip, talking about the opportunity he may have this season to run a few races in preparation for next year, what experiences specifically would you like Kyle to have to kind of condition him for running in the Sprint Cup Series? And Kyle, in running both series, Nationwide and Sprint Cup next year, is there any room for sprint cars as well on the schedule?
That's a good question, Brian. I think, what kind of experience will I have? I mean, obviously, there's no better experience than being in the races themselves. And, and just going through all these sort of cycles that you have to go through as a young driver coming into the sport. I think, but a lot of those he's been through already. And, these younger guys that come along today, they seem to take a lot of these things in stride that we all as adults think they're big, important, big deals and scary things and whatever. And these young drivers seem to take to it like a fish like to water. So I think, he's shown a great ability to field anything that gets thrown at him, if you will. And so I think that's what said it all for me.
Yeah, and racing, both Nationwide and Cup next year, that takes up about your whole weekend. So I know I won't be able to race as much sprint car stuff, and I'm cool with it. I'm racing, getting more experience in stock cars is a little bit better than racing sprint cars, and that just shows where my focus is at. Being in the NASCAR stuff, and if I could still race 10 sprint car races next year, I'd be totally fine with that. I think I run.
Not all of us might be that, but
I run probably 55 to 60 this year, and that's a bit much for me. So I'm ready to slow down a little bit, and if I could still be a part of sprint car racing, whether it be in ownership or just having a small part in it, I would still enjoy it quite a bit and feel like I'm over there racing.
Marty?
Marty Smith, ESPN. Very back middle, Chip. Congratulations, Kyle. Congratulations, Chip. I don't know what Kyle's contract situation was with you before all this came down, but I do wonder, how important was it for you to give him this opportunity so somebody else didn't?
You know, Marty, I don't know. I think, that's a question that's probably 3 years old. I mean, that's how long ago I met Kyle, so I don't know. I think that's about when we did our first deal. So I don't, 2 or 3 years ago. So to tell you the truth, I don't have a good answer to that. I mean, there was no, I don't do it. I think you know me well enough now to know me by now that I have the pace at which we do things at our team, and the outside interference doesn't affect that much. So, we have our plan, and we work our plan and plan our work. We don't. I'm sorry, but your columns don't influence me that much, Marty. I mean,
Mark Ashenfelder with ESPN. Chip, will Kyle run the full nationwide schedule next year, or just companion races, or go for the title?
Yeah, I mean, Mark, we wanted to run. Hopefully he's running for a championship there next year too. So I mean, I think to say is he going to run every race? That might be a stretch here, not knowing what time a couple of those races are starting. The idea is to do that. The idea is to run as many as he can. Obviously, I mean, if he misses 1 or 2, he may have to. But I don't. I wouldn't. Not just companion races. No.
We'll take a couple more questions, Bob, and then Dustin, and then they'll both be available for one-on-ones after if you need them.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Chip, you brought in in your career, you brought in a lot of young guys up to Cup with kind of good and bad results. Was there anything, what were you looking for during his nationwide races to know that this was the right move?
Yeah, Bob, I think I answered that already when just in how his level of maturity approaching the racing of the race itself, where I said earlier where I thought he was, it looks sometimes like he's, back there in 10th or 12th, but always seems to be in the top 5 at the end there. So I think that's a good thing. I think, and there's obviously a lot of questions about whether a guy like Kyle, they say, I've heard from, everybody, geez, it's too soon, maybe it's too early. Let's take the list of drivers that we say is it's too early or they came too early, and put that list over on one side. And on the right side, let's put the list of all the guys at the tracks all around the country, Saturday night tracks and short tracks and dirt tracks, that never got the opportunity. And how long is that list? Okay, and so let's, that list is 50 times longer than the list of guys that came along too soon. And as I said, there's an opportunity here, and he's a great driver, and he's obviously the number 1 pick, as said by many other people besides myself, and nobody deserves a shot more than he does.
Dustin?
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Chip, certainly over the last couple of years, you've made a lot of changes within your organization. Is it to the point where your organization was ready for this type of opportunity to have a young kid? Because I'm going to guess, and maybe I'm going out on a limb, but typically a young driver isn't going to be able to come in and say, we need to do this, this, and this to make our cars better. You kind of seem like you kind of built to that point to help make that transition easier. Has your team kind of gotten to the point where you could take this opportunity?
I think so. I think if I think our cars, like I said earlier, our cars have shown they can run, or easily, in the top 5, top 10, on a pretty regular basis this season. For one reason or another, we're not there at the end, but I think plugging in a guy like Kyle is certainly the team is ready for that. I mean, and again, until you're winning every race and you're winning every championship, you're never really complete. Your team's never really complete. I mean, I'm sure every race team in this garage area would like to tweak 1 or 2 things on their team from time to time, and what you'd like to do and what you actually can do are 2 different things sometimes, because of whether it's availability of people or resources or lots of things come into that play of it's not like scripting a movie. You know, it takes a lot of things to happen on one of these teams when you make changes or you anticipate improvements.
All right. They both will be here for another few minutes if anybody needs anything else, but thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.